So that Randy Moss clip.
Yeah, that's the second.
Go to it real quick. I want to show you something real quick. We'll get into it. That's me. Look at me on the right with the mic. And I only remember this press conference because I was sitting in the front row.
That's wild, yeah.
I was a reporter, dude. What's up with my what was I don't know. My sweater is like. Go to my sweater. It's like I took my black hockey tape and like taped it together.
It's got like a fake Adidas line.
Yeah. I was gonna cut this up and then me and Randy. Look at me and Randy. We're boys. That's my favorite Belichick memory.
Yeah.
His press conference there. And like people don't ever talk about that press conference. And maybe I only remember it because I was there. And I was sitting in the front row and I was somewhat in shock. And it was the second Randy Moss press conference of the year that I was in shock. Because the first one was after a week 1 win. And he was talking about his contract.
Yeah.
And I walked into the back of the press conference room while he was talking about his contract. And I was shocked. I was like, you just won week 1.
And here he is.
And what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, this is crazy. I'm like, is he doing this right now?
He's burning everything down.
And then he got traded to Minnesota.
Yeah.
And that game was when Minnesota, a couple weeks after he got traded, came to play the Patriots, got beat by the Patriots. And afterwards, in the postgame, he's wearing the Red Sox hat. And he's praising Bill Belichick. And that, to me, was...
That's wild.
That's it. I mean, be careful what you wish for, right? I think that's kind of my theme with getting rid of Belichick here. It's just...
That's exactly how I feel.
Be careful what you wish for, right?
The devil you know, right?
So...
We're rolling, though.
Be careful what you wish for. This is the Danny Picard Show. Is it too late to say Happy New Year? I don't know. What is it?
Nah, we're still in it.
What is it?
Still
January,
in the first month.
What's today? 12th?
12th.
January 12th? Happy New Year. Because this is the first show of the year, we told you we were going to give you another one before the end of 2023. That obviously did not happen. And a lot has transpired since then. And the top story, obviously, is Bill Belichick, the greatest coach of all time, no longer with the Patriots. We could call this a parting of ways. I think ultimately they did decide to part ways, but at the end of the day, Robert Kraft, I mean, he got rid of Bill Belichick. When you have a year left in your contract and you're no longer with the team, and there's one thing Robert Kraft said. We're going to play the video of just this one thing that he said in just a few minutes. Don't cue it up yet. I'm not ready yet. Everybody knows what happened. But there's one thing that Kraft said that I think tells me they fired him, and here's why. But you know what happened by now. Belichick's out, and Jerod Mayo is in. We're recording this on Friday evening. Jerod Mayo was announced earlier today. It was last night on Thursday night. There were reports that Mayo signed his deal with an agreement kind of already in place that if something happens, if Belichick is gone, Mayo will slide in. That's why the Patriots didn't have to play by the rules, I guess you call it. The Rooney rule, is that it? You got to do all these interviews, and the Patriots were able to surpass that because they let the league know that they had this plan in place for Jerod Mayo, who was already on the coaching staff. So by now, you know what the deal is. Belichick's out. Mayo is in as the new Patriots head coach. Now they're looking for a GM. I'm here to open the show up to just react to it. You know what it is. You don't need me to keep telling you what it is. And my reaction to it is, I think if you've watched me or listened to me, I think you know where I'm at. And I don't know when we started rolling, but I came in here behind the mic and I said, be careful what you wish for. Because I think this is a horrible decision by Robert Kraft. Like, I don't think this is a very wise decision. And I say that because, again, he had a year left on his contract, right? You got 1 year left. And if you have a year on there to work with, there's a possibility that you could go out and get a quarterback and address the real issue. The real issue is not coaching. I think Belichick showed you that with the way he coached up this defense. And you had serious defensive injuries. Judon was out. We saw Christian Gonzalez, their first-round pick, go down with injuries. I mean, who knows if those guys stay healthy? They win a couple more games. They get a couple extra turnovers. Maybe Mac Jones has some better field position in a couple of games. Maybe he doesn't lose his job. Like, you just never know what can happen. My point is, this is a bad decision because Bill Belichick is obviously still a very good coach, specifically defensively. When I look at the Patriots' biggest issues, it's at the quarterback position. And when you look at the schedule that they had and the games that they lost by one score or less, or whatever, even if it's just by 10 points. I mean, if you had a quarterback that was able to get the job done, that wasn't, a complete bitch. That's what we'll call him. We'll call Mac Jones. That's what he is. He's soft. And everybody in there knew it. Belichick knew it. I mean, this is Bill Belichick, who had a press conference about Tom Brady's injured finger. Was it a finger? Was it a shoulder? Whatever the injury was for Tom Brady going into a playoff game. And he's like, guys, come on, it's not open heart surgery. So we know how Belichick feels about injuries and how we like to talk about them and turn them into something maybe they're not. Mac Jones carried off the field for a sprained ankle. I've told you on this show that was the moment that Bill Belichick went, I got the wrong guy. That's not my guy. That's not the guy for the New England Patriots. And as you saw, I was right with that. And Mac Jones didn't play. And I hope he never plays again for the New England Patriots. The issue with the Patriots is at the quarterback position. And if you can solve that, do you not want Bill Belichick as your coach over Jerod Mayo? It's not like Mayo is this offensive guy. He's a defensive guy.
In an unknown commodity. I know he's been here for quite a while coaching, but we don't really know what he can be as a head coach. We don't know. He's a completely unknown commodity where Bill Belichick is the most stable, greatest coach in our generation, possibly the greatest coach ever.
He is the greatest coach of all time, Bill Belichick. And, he's 2 seasons away at becoming the all-time most winningest coach. I say that right? Most winningest coach? Most wins in NFL history, surpassing Don Shula. I just look at it like this. Now that we get into the playoffs, you're going to see games that are decided with solid defenses in cold weather, where there's turnovers in big spots, and you get close games. And
who's great at that?
Who's great at winning those games? Finding a way. Bill Belichick. My point is, you get a quarterback that isn't Mac Jones, that isn't Bailey Zappi, and whether it's a veteran that you signed this offseason, whether it's a stud that you get now at number 3 overall, whoever that quarterback is for the Patriots, if you next year, let's say Mayo's the coach next year, they sign a veteran quarterback. I don't know. I mentioned Kirk Cousins. You got Russell Wilson's going to be available now. Who knows who else is going to be available? Let's just say it's Russell Wilson.
Plus either of those guys with Bill Belichick.
That's what I'm saying. You get a quarterback like that with a solid defense, you get to the playoffs, and let's say you play in Kansas City. Who do you want as your coach in that game? Who do you want? If you're telling me the Patriots, if they get a quarterback, can get back to the playoffs, then why would you get rid of Bill Belichick? It doesn't make any sense to me. But then you see this one thing that Robert Kraft said, and we're going to play the video for you right now. He was asked a question about...
Monday, Bill spoke about...
He was asked a question about the responsibilities that Bill Belichick had, both GM and coaching. And I think I have the question in the video. Let's play this clip.
Monday, Bill spoke about the possibility of relinquishing some of his duties in the personnel department. How much consideration did you give to retaining Bill but maybe adjusting his role?
Yeah, we've thought about that, but, I've had experience running different businesses and trying to develop a team. And think about it. When you have someone like Bill, who's had control over every decision. Every coach we hire, the organization reports to him on the draft and how much money we spend or every decision has been his. And we've always supported him. To then take some of that power away and give it to someone else, accountability is important to me in every one of our companies. And where he had the responsibility and then someone else takes it, it's going to set up confusion and, well, it was his pick and that was a bad pick, or he didn't play him right, or, it wouldn't work, in my opinion.
It wouldn't work. And that's... So... It's not when Robert Kraft is asked that question about Bill Belichick saying, because Belichick held the press conference, he was like, I'm under contract. I'm going to keep coaching this team. Implied that he was open to maybe giving up some of the general manager responsibilities. Robert Kraft was asked about that, and Kraft made a great point. He's like, well, look, you can't, when you have a guy who's had that much control for so long, for as long as Belichick
how do you go back from that?
And have that much success, you can't take some of that control away and expect this thing to work smoothly. And I think what he was saying with that was, we like him as a coach, but we wanted to take away the GM responsibilities. We can't do that. Him answering the question like that tells me that was part of that was the conversation.
Yeah.
The conversation was about, Bill, we don't like the moves that you've made. We want you as a coach. But all right, let's talk about taking those responsibilities away. And Kraft was very open and honest about he's owned multiple businesses. And this isn't just football. This is in any business. You give someone so much power, you take some of that power away, there's going to be an issue. Yeah. You're setting yourself up for issues, for power issues, for decision-making issues. And that is not going to end well. And it might not even begin well with a new guy. And Kraft is pointing that out. And the fact that he was that in-depth and that honest about that question tells me that was the conversation that him and Belichick had. And I'm sure he was like, Bill, that's not going to you might be willing to do that, but that's not going to work. And you know it. And Belichick was probably like, you're right. You're probably right. He's probably like, Bill, you could be a stubborn bastard.
Yeah.
You got an ego. You want me to take some of that control away and have somebody that now you're going to answer to with regards to your roster?
That you're always going to second guess, no matter what.
You mean to tell me that that's going to work for you? And they're probably both that's where they amicably split ways.
Yeah.
Robert Kraft, Jonathan Kraft, they got the number 3 overall pick. They don't like some of the GM moves that Belichick has made, even picking some of his coaching staff the last couple of years, right? And they wanted to make that change, but they knew they couldn't take that away from him and keep him as the head coach, because you can't take power away from a guy that's had that much power for that long and has had that much success. There are egos at play. It just wouldn't work. And I think that's where they had the amicable split.
Yeah.
That's why that answer to me was the most important answer that Robert Kraft gave. That's the most important soundbite that you're going to hear. And then Kraft is just like, we got to part ways, but look, you're on a contract. You got to go. We're firing you. Now, where I'm making the case that I think this is a dumb decision is, for as many of the bad moves that you could point out that Belichick has made, you can also counter that with several moves that he made to create the greatest dynasty in the history of professional sports.
Yeah.
And so you have the number 3 overall pick. There's still a part of me that trusts that Bill Belichick, with the team of people, I mean, you've seen, even when they were picking Mac Jones, he was, if you watch that video, he's like, guys, are we okay with this? Like he's not in there going, fuck you guys, this is who I'm taking. So he's still working with people. He's still working with the scouting staff. He's still working with people in the front office.
Yeah, he just falls on the sword. Yeah.
Yeah. Because he's the GM.
He's the guy, yeah.
He's the architect of this thing. And I guess I have more trust in him moving forward than Robert Kraft. But that's where I'm like, this is a dumb decision. Like, how do you not have trust in Bill Belichick if you're Robert Kraft? Are you scared you're going to lose Jerod Mayo?
Yeah.
He's like, it's this whole thing just is not making sense to me. And I don't know if something else happened. You know, I knock Mac Jones and I called him what I call him. And I look, at the end of the day, I just think he's soft. And I don't think he's the guy. And I think that's a horrible pick. And I think that's the pick that did Belichick in, because I think the team's biggest issue is at the quarterback position. And I think if you fix that, he's proven he's a good enough defensive coach where you get back to the playoffs, and then all of a sudden you're trusting Bill Belichick in a close game in bad weather in the wild card round, in the divisional round. But you don't have a quarterback. So Belichick fucked up with the Mac Jones pick. That's a horrible pick. He sucks. Get him out of here. I don't want Mac Jones as the quarterback. Clearly, neither does Bill Belichick. So at least Bill Belichick is able to go, you know what? I fucked up. They benched him. He was third string. Who knows what else was going on there? And who knows what Mac Jones was doing? Mac Jones in the offseason was behind his back calling other coaches, right? Like, no, this is Bill Belichick. You don't do that. I don't know. I'm missing something. And I don't know what it is. And, you know, people will counter that talking to me going, well, there just needed to be a change. I go, well, did there? Why? Like, why did there need to be a change? Oh, well, the game's different now. Players usually don't react the way that the Patriots dynasty players reacted to Bill Belichick. That's why it was the Patriot way. Because players came into Gillette and they acted different. Belichick turned water into wine.
Over and over and over again.
He took a problem child and turned him into a winner. And then sometimes he turned a problem child into a winner. And then when that winner's contract was up, Belichick shipped him out of town. And guess what happened? That problem child once again, decided, you know what? I fucked up and I miss Bill Belichick. That's why I have another clip for you here. That, to me, as we go over all our favorite memories of Bill Belichick, my favorite memory of Bill Belichick, this is sort of defending the type of coach that I just told you he was, and why it was so important for him to, like, you know, be the hard ass that he was, to be the guy that was so difficult to play for that people would say, but players were better off for it. And it's like, be careful what you wish for, because sometimes you don't even realize that till you're gone. We're going to realize that now once he's gone. I'm telling you. But my favorite Bill Belichick moment is in the form of Randy Moss's post-game press conference when he returns to Gillette Stadium in 2010. Just weeks after being traded to Minnesota for a third-round pick. And this was... Now, I probably remember this press conference a little bit more because I was there and I was in the front row. And you'll see in this video that we're about to play that I'm putting my my microphone up on the podium right in front of Randy Moss. But the beginning of this season in 2010, Randy Moss was the last year of his deal. I was a reporter at the time for Comcast Sportsnet. I've told this story many times, but this is my favorite Belichick moment that, again, doesn't even necessarily involve Belichick, really, but it's somebody talking and reacting to Belichick after being sent out of town. Randy Moss that year was his contract year for the Patriots. They win in week 1 at home against Cincinnati. I'm a reporter. I was covering the visiting team. After being in the visiting team's locker room, I went into the main press conference room. I believe it's the same room that they just held the Belichick and Kraft press conference yesterday. And I walked in the back way, and Randy Moss was at the podium. This is after a win, week 1, fresh, new season. Patriots win. Randy Moss and I walked into the press conference late. Randy Moss was talking about his contract. Like, unhappy with his contract. And I'm going, like, I was kind of in shock, and I'm looking around like, what provoked this right now? Like, why is this happening after a week 1 win? This is just strange, right? Because when Randy Moss came here, he was kind of a different cat. Like, suddenly he was a great teammate and everybody loved him. And there were not many of these like controversial press conferences and situations. But Randy, he was in his final season and he showed up to in that press conference room, and after a win, decided to go into business for himself. It's a phrase that we hear in pro wrestling, and I love it, but that's what Randy Moss did. He decided to go into business for himself. And I'm sitting there watching that press conference as a reporter going, this is not going to end well. Patriots opened that season 3-1, and I believe it was in the bye week that they traded Randy Moss to Minnesota. And there were reports after that. If you go back and read them, Randy was, after that week 1 win in Cincinnati, there were reports that he demanded to be traded. And it took a couple weeks to make it happen. But the Patriots ended up trading him to Minnesota for a 3rd-round pick. Couple weeks later, Minnesota, with Randy Moss, came back and played the Patriots. I was a reporter covering this game and covering the visiting teams. I was in the front row of the Randy Moss press conference. He walks in. He's got the Red Sox hat on. Now he's playing for the Vikings. And this is a 5-minute clip. But for like 4 minutes and 20 seconds of this 5-minute clip, he is praising the Patriots. Praising them. And praising Bill Belichick specifically for most of this. And the things he says about Belichick, where he is just, he regrets the way he handled it. Because he thought he could just go somewhere else and everything would be fine. And Brett Favre was Minnesota's quarterback. I think it was Brad Childress was the coach. He calls out his own coach and his own coaching staff in this press conference. And it was such an eye-opening press conference. I will never forget it. I dug up the video of this. And to me, this is my favorite Bill Belichick moment because it exemplifies everything that Belichick did to these guys. Everything that he did to these players. When Randy Moss goes into business for himself, Belichick says, all right, see you later. Randy Moss comes back with another team, and all he can do is go, man, I wish I was still with Bill Belichick. I messed up. I wish Belichick is the GOAT. And I should have never went into business for myself. I got caught up in it. I'm a superstar. And I acted like a prima donna, and I miss those guys, and I wish that never happened. But think about someone like Randy Moss, like doing this, like you're swallowing your pride, and you're expressing your regret, basically apologizing for doing what you did, which was going into business for yourself. I'll let you judge. I mean, I think we should play the whole thing. It's 5 minutes. We can cut it up afterwards. I think it's pretty cool to look back on it and see the impact that Belichick had on a guy like this. This is
the guy.
One of the greatest players in the history of football.
Greatest prima donnas.
Yeah, and one of the greatest prima donnas. I'm one of Randy Moss's biggest fans.
I agree, but still.
So I'm a little biased on this situation, but let's see it. Let's play the clip. And by the way, here I am putting my pause right there. See me with the ugly gray sweater with the two. I have on the right side there, the podium, putting my recorder up on the podium. That's me and Randy. Look at me and Randy. I don't know what I'm wearing right there. It looks like I took my stick tape, and like taped the sleeves of my sweater. What the fuck was I wearing right there? And just put the recorder. I don't know what's happening right there. I'm trying to get the recorder up on the podium, but look at me and Randy, huh? Look at that duo. Look at that WWE tag. I'll be his manager in the WWE. Randy, let's go. This is me. There's my picture, me and Randy Moss. But let's listen to this. Let's watch this press conference. This is something else, Paul.
I'm going to go ahead and say this. I think I said something a couple weeks ago. Look, I got fined $25,000 for not talking to you all. And me personally, I really don't care. But at the same time, I do answer questions throughout the week. Before the league to fine me $25,000, I'm not going to answer any more questions for the rest of this year. If it's going to be an interview, I'm going to conduct it. So I'll answer my own questions, ask myself the questions, then give y'all the answers. So from here on out, I'm not answering any more questions for the rest of the season. And enough said of that. Now we get to the game.
Red Sox hat, look at.
Yeah.
All blacked out too.
Yeah, love it.
Trying to. Let me hold it down. All right. I really haven't had a chance to really talk to the guys, so this is no disrespect to the Minnesota Vikings and their organization. The captains, Will Fork, Tommy Boy, Mayo, am I forgetting somebody? Kevin Falk. Man, I missed them guys, man. I missed the team. It was hard for me to come here and play. It's been up and down roller coaster emotionally all week. And then to be able to come in here and see those guys, running plays that, I know what they're doing.
Professional athletes never said
the
this
success
before.
they had on the field, the running game. So I kind of know what type of feeling they have in their locker room, man. And, I just want to be able to tell the guys that, I missed the hell out of them. Every last helmet in that locker room, man. Deion Branch came up to me after the game, and, I've never really had a chance to meet Deion Branch, but,
I think they brought Deion in after they traded him.
Coach Belichick, he gave me an opportunity to be a part of something special. And that's something I really take to heart. I actually salute Coach Belichick and his team for the success they've had before me, during me, and after me. So I'm actually stuck for words just because of the fact that, man, this is just a lot of memories here. And, to the New England Patriots fans, that ovation at the end of the game, that really felt heartwarming. I think I actually shedded a tear for that. But, like I said, man, it's been an emotional roller coaster this whole week. And tried to prepare, tried to talk to the players and coaches about how this game was going to be played. And
this is where he shits on his own coaching staff.
Tendencies here, but the bad part about it, you have 6 days to prepare for a team, and on the 7th day, that's Sunday, meaning the day, I guess they come over to me and say, Dag Ross, you was right about this, about a couple plays and a couple of schemes that they were going to run. And it hurts as a player that you put a lot of hard work in, all week, and toward the end of the week, Sunday, when you get on the field, that's when they acknowledge about the hard work you put in throughout the week. So that's actually a disappointment. I can't really say enough about this team and this organization. I met with Miss Kraft before the game because I really didn't have a chance to talk to her before I left, and I just thank Miss Kraft for the opportunity to let me be part of something special. The New England Patriots has always been a special organization, and I've always watched from afar. And when I got drafted by Minnesota, and I think I said this a couple weeks ago, I felt obligated of trying to bring a Super Bowl to Minnesota. And, this season's still not over. Do I know what next season and the future is going to bring? No, I do not. But all I can say is, man, it's a lot of work that we leave on the field each day. It's a lot of film study that we leave in that room each day. I know how hard these guys work here in New England, and the only thing that I really tried to do is take what the best coach in football history has brought upon me, or the knowledge that he's given me about the game of football, and I tried to just sprinkle it off, to the guys the best way I know how. So, I'm going to go ahead and end this interview. I have my family to see. Definitely down that we lost this game because I didn't really expect for us to lose this game, knowing that, we had a few things that we had to clean up. But like I said, they played a good game. I wish we could have had that 3 at the end of the half. Maybe it could have been different, maybe not. But, I don't know how many more times I'm going to be up here in New England. But I'm going to leave the New England Patriots, Coach Belichick, man, with a salute, man. I love you guys. I miss you. I'm out.
Monday.
He's with the Minnesota. He just played a game with the Minnesota Vikings. He didn't take a single question. He's wearing a Red Sox hat, praising Belichick, shitting on his own coaching staff for not listening to him about what the Patriots are going to do to them. Kind of called out his kicker, too. Kicker must have missed a field goal, right? Unless the coaching staff didn't go for the kick. I don't remember the actual game. But at the end, Coach Belichick, miss you, I'm out. He wanted, that was him. I remember being in that room going, what the fuck is going on? This is the second Randy Moss press conference this season that I'm covering where I'm like, what the fuck is happening? And it was surreal. And that's my favorite Bill Belichick moment, because that to me just tells you what Bill Belichick means to people, to players that play for him. One of the greatest players of all time. And like you said, one of the greatest prima donnas of all time. He's standing there, kind of swallowing his pride, though, at the beginning. He's like, I'm not taking any questions. Like,
Yeah,
he's giving you the...
He was still doing
giving
him, but yeah.
He's still being Randy. But he's like...
He gets it. The grass is not always greener.
No. Like, be careful what you wish for. Because if you get it and it doesn't work out, you're going to be sitting back going, oh man, I wish we had Bill Belichick. Randy Moss was standing there at Gillette Stadium as part of another organization wearing a Red Sox hat for 5 minutes going, man, I miss Bill Belichick. And I just have this feeling in my gut, knowing that the only Patriots problem, and I say only, but I mean biggest.
Obvious, the starting point, the biggest point.
It's the quarterback. If you have a average quarterback on this Patriots team this season, you're probably in the playoffs.
Yeah.
The AFC's wide open. The Super Bowl's wide open. I thought San Francisco was going to run away with it. They lost. They got whooped at home by Baltimore. Now, Baltimore is one of the better teams, but still, San Francisco was rolling. You're like, oh, San Francisco's going to win this game. It's wide open. It's wide open. Kansas City, they don't look the same. Miami, Buffalo comes up and wins a division. It is wide open. You get into the playoffs with a quarterback. Bill Belichick's your coach. Given the current landscape of the NFL, you got a shot. You get into a same situation. Jerod Mayo's your coach. Are you feeling as confident that the defense is like the Bill Belichick? What does everybody say? Oh, Bill Belichick will have this team ready. Bill Belichick will have this team ready. Are you saying the same that with the same amount of confidence in Jerod Mayo? You might be, because you're just sipping the Kool-Aid and you're like, oh, he was part of the staff. Yeah. He played for Belichick. No, I'm sorry. When the greatest coach of all time leaves, you get worse. All right? You get worse. Now, Mayo, in 2-3 years, maybe he turns out to be a very good...
He could be, but we don't know. No one knows at this point.
But I know that Bill Belichick is. And I know they need a quarterback. And I know there are situations in the NFL, like the one I just showed you, with some of the best players that have ever played the game regret when they wanted to say goodbye to Bill Belichick. And now Robert Kraft has said goodbye to Bill Belichick.
And now we're all Randy.
Right?
We're Randy now. That's what going forward.
That's what we are. We're gonna be regretting not having Bill Belichick. And now the question is, well, where does Bill Belichick end up?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, people are throwing out Atlanta, which makes you think like maybe that's where he ends up. I mean, I think that would be a horrible spot for him. I mean, there's no quarterback there.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're taking out the geography of it, the obvious choice is the Chargers. You got Herbert. He's going to throw the ball 50 times a game. Belichick coaches up that defense. Next thing you know,
it's perfect. Almost.
Chargers are winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Like, that would happen. I just don't know.
To win one without Tom Brady and without New England.
We'll get to that. I don't know if Belichick wants to go to the West Coast. I mean, that's a big move at his stage of his life.
Yeah.
He's in his 70s.
Yeah.
Like, do you want to move to LA? You want to move to California at this stage of your life? If he wants to, then that's a great move. Football openings, to me, that's the best team.
Yeah. That's
got the quarterback. He can coach the defense. Suddenly, the Chargers are going to be... I guarantee you, if Belichick signed with the Chargers tomorrow, people would look at them and they would... There's Super Bowl odds.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think... I don't know.
Not favorites, but...
Not the favorite.
Yeah.
But they would most certainly be top 5.
Yeah.
Right? Now, if he wants to stay somewhere remotely close, he's got the house in Nantucket. I don't know where the hell else he's living, but where else is he? I don't know. You look at Washington, but I would say Washington would be more of a fit if they didn't trade their two best defensive players this year. You know, Chase Young.
Yeah.
And then maybe I'd say, well, Belichick goes in. Washington has number 2 overall. Suddenly, Belichick is, Belichick is stealing players from the Patriots. I mean, I don't know if that.
I'm going wherever Bill goes. I'm going.
Maybe I will too. But you just try to look at the options that he has. I think Atlanta would be stupid. I mean, Atlanta's good in one sense. That division sucks.
Yeah. And you could still do the plan that you kind of have for him here. Get a 1-year veteran quarterback.
Yeah.
You could still run it like that. So,
like, could he get Russell Wilson
yeah, exactly.
in Atlanta?
Then it's a whole, that looks, sounds good.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or would you go, again, make the move to LA, you have Herbert, and, you build it that way. That's still a pretty good roster.
Yeah.
Washington, I just think maybe now there's too many holes with the defensive trades that they made this season. And I don't know, unless there's like another team that gets in.
Well, there's got to be a couple teams who aren't obvious that
people
have
are
to
saying
at least
Dallas.
Look at it.
If Dallas loses,
yeah. That makes sense.
If Dallas loses in the first round, to Green Bay, then people are implying that maybe Jerry Jones gets nuts, fires Mike McCarthy, brings Belichick to Dallas, and
that's entirely possible.
That is possible.
Yeah.
That is very possible.
Because Bill Belichick, it's like when Tom Brady was.
If Dallas loses, I actually
Yeah.
don't think Dallas is going to lose.
Yeah,
I think-
if they lose, exactly. Yeah.
Dallas is pretty good. I think people are saying that because they just kind of expect Dallas to do their thing and choke.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to lose to Green Bay at home. I just don't think that's going to happen.
It would probably have to be that kind of owner too that would just rip everything up and say, "Let's get Belichick. Let's do this."
Yeah, I mean, Jerry Jones is the guy that would do it.
Yeah.
Like I could see them doing that. But I don't think that's going to happen because I think Dallas is going to win, and I don't know that Belichick is going to sit around
Wait.
and wait. Whole new organization.
Yeah, that makes no sense.
Like-
it makes more sense for him to move as quickly as
Like
possible.
he's got to do this now.
Yeah.
He's got to make this decision right now. And that's why when I hear Atlanta, you just start to think, well, maybe that's where he's going to be. I mean, maybe there's a reason where there's smoke, there's fire, right?
Yeah.
I mean, all this stuff with Belichick going.
They kind of already knew that.
Credit to Tom Curran, by the way,
Yeah.
NBC Sports Boston, who not only was all over that, but was all over the Mayo coming in and taking
Yeah.
the job.
And really early.
Curran's been saying that both of those two things for a long time.
Yeah. I thought he was nuts. So.
I mean, I didn't think
Maybe that's too far, but I never believed it would happen. Maybe I'll say it that way.
I worked with Tom for a handful of years, and I know he's connected, and so I know he's not the guy that's just making up shit for
Yeah.
clicks. And so I always respected that report that he had. The one thing I questioned was the way it was reported, that he reported it. He was on the TV show that they do, and he said it. And it, to me, felt just like he was having a conversation, and maybe there was a little opinion in there
Yeah.
that was like
a little speculation.
if there was a big piece that he wrote after that Germany game that was Belichick out,
Yeah.
it wasn't like that. He just made a comment on a TV show, and that's where I was like, well, I wonder, these guys, he talks to so many people. If he heard something that was just a well-informed opinion and not 100% set in stone fact, that was the only thing I was questioning. I was not questioning whether
That's
or
how
not.
I felt too. But that could honestly be just not wanting. You don't want the Belichick era to end. So I think that's where I was.
Oh yeah, I mean, it was for me. It was
So
I
I
hope
was
he's
like,
right. I
never.
hope Tom. I hope you're wrong.
You're wrong. Yeah.
I hope you're wrong because I think this is a bad decision. I opened the show saying it's a bad decision. I hate Mac Jones. I don't think Bill Belichick likes Mac Jones. That's very clear. Who picked Mac Jones? You watched the video. I mean, Belichick was asking around. He's like, you guys, are we good with this? Is this what we're doing? I mean, he didn't sound overly confident in it, but you can't say that he didn't make the pick.
Yeah.
But I think he learned this was not a Belichick guy. I hope Mac Jones is gone tomorrow. I don't want to see him again in a Patriots uniform. I cannot make that any more clear. But I think if you're looking at the issues that need to be solved, to me, bringing in a GM is not on the top of the list. Getting a new quarterback is. And according to Robert Kraft, with his answer that we played for you, where he talks about the GM coach dynamic, you can't take that power away from Bill as the GM. It's just not going to work. It's not going to work in any business with someone that has that much power, and then you just decide to pull it away from him. You got to we need a new GM, and it's not going to work if we pull it from him. Robert Kraft prioritized GM by making this move. Somebody else making personnel decisions, whether it's coaching, players, whatever. That's where I disagree with this whole thing. Because for every bad move Bill Belichick has made in his 24 years with the Patriots, you can point out 3 unbelievable moves that he's made. And where you get a prime draft pick and you have opportunities to maybe even on top of that bring in, like here's what the Patriots can do. Like this is a realistic thing that they can do. This is not a pipe dream. This is not, I mean, yeah, I'm playing fantasy GM. I got my GM cap on. It sounds like a video game. But realistically, with the salary cap space that they have, with the draft pick that they have, with the needs that they have, realistically, what I'm about to lay out for you is what they can do. They can draft Marvin Harrison Jr. at number 3 overall. Now, if Chicago decides to take Caleb Williams, which I will, if Washington then takes Drake May or Jaden Daniels, or I think it's probably one of those two, they'll take a quarterback. They should. They will. Marvin Harrison Jr. has committed to the draft. The Patriots, this is what they can do. They can take Marvin Harrison at number 3 overall, a stud receiver. They can sign a veteran quarterback like a Kirk Cousins, a Russell Wilson, right? Because you got to think Russell Wilson is going to be available. You got to think after that debacle in Denver.
Yeah.
And they can draft a quarterback in the 2nd round. You know, does Penix Jr. fall off after that national championship? Bo Nix is probably a 2nd round guy.
There's a lot there.
Do you draft Bo Nix in the 2nd round, put him on the bench behind Kirk Cousins, and have Cousins and Marvin Harrison? And then what? Like,
it's a whole new
world. Is the GM and the coach the issue? No. You solve the quarterback position. You solve the offensive talent issue. I just don't think the priority needed to be get a new GM. The priority needed to be get a new quarterback. Robert Kraft, I don't know, didn't like the Mac Jones pick. Didn't think Bill Belichick was going to nail it with the new quarterback. I just think they're wrong for it. I just think they're wrong for making this move. There's a lot of people that function under the mindset of, oh, well, every marriage comes to an end. Like you hear that from a lot of people. Like every dynasty ends, everything comes to an end. It's like, yeah, but you got to be realistic with the job that Belichick was still doing as a defensive coach. And they'll counter that with, oh, yeah, but Jerod Mayo was a defensive guy and he grew up in Belichick's system. It's like, doesn't fucking matter.
Still an unknown.
Doesn't fucking matter. And maybe Mayo's great, but you know Bill Belichick is still a very good coach. You know he is. You know he is better than
I think almost everybody.
Maybe everybody.
Yeah.
Still, it's the GM thing that Robert Kraft was having a tough
and
time.
And they're right. There's a much better argument for that. For moving on from Bill Belichick to GM. There's a much better argument for that. But for moving on from Bill Belichick to coach, it makes no sense. It just doesn't make sense.
No. And Robert Kraft's point is that they needed...
It's like a change for sake of change. And that's dumb. That's dumb.
Right now, when you look at what the problem is, you know... Yeah, there are moves Bill Belichick has made. They drafted the kicker in the 4th round. Like that's one of the dumbest. That's not even hindsight. Like, why are you drafting a kicker in the 4th round? Like, why?
What? Yeah.
What are you doing? Like that's
You're kind of just being an asshole.
Yeah. Belichick does certain things like that with special team. He loves special teams.
Yeah.
Like there's always been that infatuation with it on his end. that I've always been like, all right, enough.
Freaking drop
You know what I mean?
kick.
Like, enough. But it doesn't matter. I mean, Bill Belichick is still Bill Belichick. He's going to go somewhere, and I think he's obviously going to be in a great position to win a championship.
Is there any talk that he's done?
For good?
Yeah.
No, because Robert Kraft said at the press conference, he's like, it's going to be hard to watch you in a sleeveless hoodie with another team. He's not done. There's no way.
Good.
There's no way he's done. There's no way. I mean, look at the defense. I mean, he had 2 of his top defensive players were hurt, and he still had them in position to win games. Now, the offense was horrendous, but that gets back to the point. What's the issue? They don't have a quarterback. That's the issue. You give this team a quarterback this season, they're probably in, as even if it's the 7 seed. But guess what? There's a lot of unknowns in the AFC. There's a lot of teams that every week we think are the best, and then they have this loss. We're like, oh shit, right?
Yeah.
And I just think if there's anybody that I want coaching the Patriots in that wild card game and that divisional round game where you got the solid defense trying to stop another team's quarterback, there's nobody else I'd rather have as my coach than Bill Belichick. And that's this season, that's next season, and probably the season after that. But you decided to make a change.
Yeah.
And I disagree with it. I think it's be careful what you wish for. It's you're going to regret this. Because don't tell me that just because Mayo was a Belichick guy that players are going to respond the way they responded to Bill Belichick. Don't tell me that. Again, we get back to Mac Jones here. Yeah, it's a talent issue. But
It's an attitude
he does have
too.
some talent.
Yeah.
Like, nobody's ever said Mac Jones doesn't have talent. There's something else there
Yeah.
that Belichick ain't going to put up with anymore. And to be honest, I think, and you saw it when Zappe came in and he won that game against Pittsburgh. Like, you saw what Zeke Elliott was saying. You saw what the players were saying. You saw the Matthew Judon, like, Instagram or TikTok or whatever he said. I mean, 1 touchdown in. Judon's like, loving it. So, I'm just saying that whole culture, the Patriot way, it still is a real thing. And you lose it. Like, Belichick, the Patriot way was Belichick. It was. Tom Brady, I mean, you know how I feel about Tom. I'm his biggest fucking fan. But the reality is, Belichick is the guy that put the sign on the wall that said, if you don't want to be here, you don't have to be. Randy Moss found that out the hard way. There are some other players that found that out the hard way. But because Belichick handled it like that, and guys came in knowing, oh shit, now I can't go into business for myself anymore. I got to be part of the team. That's a Belichick thing. He created that. And now he's gone. And just because Mayo was a Belichick guy doesn't mean you keep that. Players don't just come in. Like, I'm already seeing, like, former coaching staff members, like, tweeting, like, oh, do I get my job back? Are you going to hire me? It's like, here we go.
Yeah.
Like, what? What's happening right now? Like, what just happened? Look, I'm pretty sad about it. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not, like, I was watching
That's
the
how I
press
feel,
conferences
too.
yesterday, and I'm watching the post press conference reaction, and I don't know, it's just a weird day. I was like, this sucks.
Yeah.
And I know everything comes to an end, right? But I'm sitting there going, like, did it
Their
have
reasons
to?
don't seem like they're correct, though. Their reasoning doesn't seem correct at all to me. Just
I was thinking back when Brady was done in 2020. It was like the beginning of COVID. Like, if you go to my Instagram, at Danny Picard, you can see I have my video up there still where I react to it raw. You know, Brady sent out the statement. And it was kind of the same thing. Like, you heard the rumors. He was done. I didn't want to believe it. I respected the people that were reporting it, but I was like, you know, the thing is, like, this is such a good situation here. If you're Robert Kraft, like, how do you let him go? And so when Brady was gone, I was mad. Like, my emotion was anger. I was mad. I was like, you had a chance to do whatever it took to keep Tom Brady here, and you chose not to do it. You kind of, Kraft took Belichick's side in a way. I don't know if that's the way he thought about it, but just, that's what it was. I think Brady was in Kraft's house, like, the night before he sent out that statement. I mean, in that moment, if you're Robert Kraft, you could sit there and go, what do you want? What do you want? Here's a check. What do you want? You want equity? Right? I'm not saying he was even thinking of doing that. I'm saying there was an opportunity.
Could have, yeah.
Like, I don't think they went above and beyond to try to, like, beg Brady to stay. And that angered me that they didn't. But after that, they chose Belichick. And then Belichick leaves yesterday, and I'm like, he doesn't have to go yet. And it's because you want a GM?
Yeah.
You don't have a quarterback. Get a quarterback. And you get a quarterback, and I want Belichick to be my coach. And, like, I was just sad, like, it was over. And I didn't think it had to be. Because now you have the greatest dynasty and two of the just greatest pieces in sports in Brady and Belichick, and neither one of those two are going to finish their career in your organization.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's something not right about that. There's just something not right about that. And I know Brady came back, he did his little speech, and
Belichick will in time too.
Belichick will
do it all.
for sure.
Do you think Mayo is almost like a nostalgia like shield for the next 2 years where they're going to stink more than likely, where they can just say, well, at least we got our guy, we're building it up. It feels like very much like almost the perfect guy to pick when you want to make this change.
No, you know why? Because I don't think
I think people are gonna eat it up. I think people are gonna buy in fully.
Paul, I don't think they're gonna be a bad team next year.
Oh, okay.
You got Judon back, you got Gonzalez back.
Well, it depends on what they
So Judon, I mean, I don't know his contract situation, so maybe I'm wrong on that. But you should bring him back.
Yeah.
Gonzalez,
and
healthy.
You got a ton of money and you got picks. So
you got the number 3 overall pick. I mean, let's say they went Jaden Daniels number 3 overall instead of, I would take Harrison Jr. I told you many times in the show, I would have a tough time passing up on him. You can sign a veteran quarterback, take a quarterback in the second round to sit, like, suddenly you got 3 assets right there.
Yeah.
Like, just like that. You signed a veteran, you just drafted 2 guys. Suddenly you got your offense, right? So I think they can be a good team. My point with this whole thing is, I look at it like the AFC right now, and I go, if the Patriots had a quarterback, they'd be Belichick, this defense, they'd be in the tournament.
And he'd be figuring it out.
They'd be in that in the hunt column. And I would trust Belichick to get them in with a good quarterback. My point is, if you get the quarterback, which you have the opportunity to do now, and you get in the hunt, you see on the screen, you always see it. It's the in the hunt. You get that Patriots logo there. Do you feel like are we going to be sitting there going like, oh man, I wish Belichick was the coach of this team, because this would be the same roster if it were Belichick. Yeah. And he's gone because you didn't like his roster moves. But if you just sat there and said, we need a quarterback and things will be fixed around here, like, so I think Mayo's going to be good enough next year to the point where it's like,
it's not going to matter. Yeah.
He's going to be a coach of a good team, I think. And we're going to be sitting there going, man, I wish we had the greatest coach of all time coaching this good team. And I don't know. I just feel like maybe something else happened that we don't know about.
Yeah. Just stinks.
Like, I don't know. It made me sad though, because it is the end of an era.
It's really over. Yeah.
And you think like,
I think you watched it a little earlier than me, but I really only watched this era. I watched very little of Bledsoe, and then I just watched this era of the Patriots.
I was a big Bledsoe fan to the point where I wanted Bledsoe to start
At the
this
time.
Super Bowl
Yeah.
against the Rams.
But that's not crazy at the time, though.
No, we talked
not.
about it on the show. How many coaches have your franchise big money quarterback come back, win the AFC Championship game in Pittsburgh, you go to the Super Bowl? How many coaches go, we're still sticking with the backup? We know the franchise big money guy is back and threw that, dramatic touchdown pass and like everyone's loving it. But you know what? We're gonna go with the backup.
It's pretty wild.
How many coaches would do that? Maybe zero. We've talked
Zero.
about that many times in the show. Like Belichick from personnel moves. Like, come on, dude. How many coaches stick with Brady in that situation? Maybe zero. Dead serious, maybe zero.
Yeah.
And it's easy for us to mock that and say, no, I would have went with Brady. Well, because around here, like Bledsoe was a guy that threw a lot of terrible interceptions. He threw for a lot of yards. He loved to sling it, but he always had that bad throw. That like even the most diehard Bledsoe supporters like myself.
He had a lot of Favre in him.
Favre was even still a little more exciting, right? Bledsoe was not mobile.
Yeah.
It was tough to watch at times. But
But they were a nothing team. They really
Around
were
the
for a long
league.
time. Most people did not pay any.
oh, it's the house that Gillette Stadium is the house that Drew built.
Yeah.
And so I was a huge Bledsoe fan. But still, I wasn't into the Patriots like I was when they start to win championships. Right? I mean, we started to get that winning feel with Belichick making that decision. Brady, Belichick, Brady. You win a couple in a row. Even when they didn't win one in 10 years, they were still
They
in
were
the
there,
Super Bowl
yeah.
twice in those Giants games. You're still winning divisions, crushing the competition. You had the year that Brady went down with the injury. And even then, they won 11 games with Matt Castle. But there's no question about it. I know what you're saying. The love that we have for football, and I'm going to bring it into, I know this is tough for people listening who aren't from Southie, but we didn't have football in Southie growing up.
No.
Football was not really,
It
I
wasn't a
never
thing.
went to Foxborough.
Nope. I had a Nerf
Stadium.
football. That's about it.
We had Nerf footballs and we
That's
would
it.
throw it around, but for the most part, it was hockey and baseball around here, and even soccer. I mean, I played a ton of soccer growing up, Southie soccer, youth soccer, Southie travel soccer, to get ready for hockey. We didn't have football. That Pop Warner didn't come into play until, I don't know about you, but I
was already too old.
was too old to
Yeah.
play. They didn't have Pop Warner when I was eligible to play. And even when they did start it a little bit, the first couple of years, it was nothing. It was wasn't a big deal. Football was really not, you see a lot of people in this area were Giants fans.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It was a different time.
My point is-
Boston we didn't win anything since the Celtics.
This became a football town.
Yeah, it did.
With Belichick and Brady. As much as I love Drew Bledsoe, still wasn't the same.
No.
It became a football town with Belichick and Brady. Now they're both gone, and it's sad to me because I look at it and go, even the last couple of years, they suck. But I'm watching because I'm intrigued with what Belichick can do. You still go into games going, I
How's
did
he
it this
gonna figure
season.
out? Yeah,
I'm like, all right, they got the number 3 overall pick, but I told you midseason, I'm like, Belichick's going to coach his D up.
and he did.
And he did. They just didn't have a quarterback.
They're lucky they got the third pick, honestly, because they could have stolen a few of those.
Yeah. And to even have that mindset. I'm watching the Jets game in the last week, and I'm rooting for the Patriots to win, and I catch myself going, you don't want to win this game. You want the number 3 overall pick. But it's Belichick just does that. And I'm telling you, you're not going to get that. It just doesn't matter who you
Because
could
it
have.
doesn't exist anywhere else. That's why you're not getting it.
Sean McVay could get fired and come to the Patriots,
Still
and
doesn't.
it's not the same.
Nope.
It's not the same week in, week out. This is a football town. I can't wait to watch the Patriots. I don't want to say it's done, but it's
It's on pause.
it's like you're just sitting there watching this play out, and
Just,
look, Kraft is all in. It's his team. He owns a team. It's easy for him to still be like.
For him, he can still spin this as a happy ending, but like,
it's just something that feels wrong about knowing that you need a quarterback, and you get a quarterback, you'll be a much better team, and that you had Brady and Belichick, two of the greatest player, greatest coach of all time, and neither one of them are going to finish their careers with the Patriots. I know Jordan finished with the Wizards, Montana finished with the Chiefs. I get it. Gretzky finished with who the fuck did Gretzky? Gretzky played for a couple different teams. The St. Louis? The Rangers?
You go back. No, I have no idea.
I mean, he played for a couple different teams. Edmonton, Kings, Rangers, St. Louis. Was there another team in there? You get my point.
Yeah.
The greatest players,
They tend to hang around.
they tend to hang around long enough where they're going to finish their career with another organization. But there's such a special circumstance here where you've got two of the greatest individuals in the history of your sport.
Who still had something left, too.
And neither one of them are going to like finish their careers with your organization. I felt like one of those two had to. And it's more than likely than not that it would be the coach, because we've seen players play for other teams. But now, and you kind of mentioned a few minutes ago, and I told you I'd get to it, we kind of mentioned where Belichick will go. Like, what happens if Belichick goes and wins the Super Bowl next year or the year after with another team?
Who
like, are we looking at Kraft going, what a great...
Problem? Yeah, you're the problem, Bob.
Like, are you the greatest owner of all time?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because I still think Belichick, like, if you're Belichick, you want to stay in New England. Belichick has an ego. He's definitely going to keep coaching because he wants to become the winningest coach of all time. But there's no question about it. He wants to win a Super Bowl with the Patriots without Tom Brady. Not just win a Super Bowl without Tom Brady for the Chargers or the Falcons or the fucking whoever. No. Do you know how special that would have been if Belichick had won a Super Bowl with a fucking Kirk Cousins next year with the Patriots? With a Russell Wilson next year with the Patriots? Maybe they would take a Drake May or a Jaden Daniels. And it's funny, people are like, oh, they're going to get a rookie quarterback. Like, Belichick can't. It's like, well, I know Brady wasn't technically a rookie, but, I mean, he might as well have been.
Kind of worked out, yeah.
When they won the Super Bowl. So, like, don't say that Belichick can't win a Super Bowl with great defense and, like, a young, inexperienced quarterback, because he did that with Brady. It's just that Mac Jones is being a Mac Jones.
Yeah.
And wasn't the type of guy that you were going to win with. But, like, if Belichick goes to a team next year and wins a Super Bowl, next year or the year after, are you not going to be rooting for that? I know I will be.
I'm buying the gear.
I know I'll be rooting for it. But, like, what does that say about Robert Kraft if that happens? Right? And, like, especially if, like, that happens and the Patriots get to... I'm telling you, this is going to happen. The Patriots are going to be better next year. They're going to find a quarterback somewhere.
I love that story.
They're going to get to the wild card divisional round, and their defense, like, not their defense, like, something's going to happen, like something's going to happen. Like, the players are going to be out, like, partying the night before or something. You know what I mean? Just something that's
not do your job.
Yeah. Something anti-Belichick is going to happen to that team from a defensive standpoint. And they're going to lose in the playoffs. And we're all going to be sitting there going, would this be different if Belichick was the coach?
And we're going to be saying it no matter what. Anything that happens, we're going to be saying it.
Of course. Yeah. But that's what happens
At least those who are honest are going to be
That's what happens when you fire the coach who isn't the problem. And he happens to be the greatest coach of all time. Yeah. Is Belichick the problem? Some personnel moves, you could say, yeah. But again... And I know drafting that quarterback ended up being the problem, and Belichick's at fault for that. But it's a fixable problem, and you had an opportunity to fix it. But your owner didn't want Belichick to be the guy to fix it. And he wanted him to coach, but he didn't want him to be the GM. And Belichick might have said, I don't want to go anywhere. I still want to win a Super Bowl with New England, without Brady. That's important to me. I'll do it. They sat in a room, and Kraft was like,
I think it's more special if he wins it without New England and without Brady, though.
"Oh, you do."
Yeah, I kind of do, because now it proves that it really is him. It's not the New England Patriots payroll works. It's
Okay.
not any of that. It's purely now he's really. I'm saying he would have liked it.
I get what you're saying.
That way, but now it's like it's purely on his back.
Oh, so you say Bella? Yeah, from
Yeah.
a fan standpoint.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Or I can't really think of Bill's head, honestly, but like, yeah,
I know
more
that
from a fan.
Bill would love to
to say like
win a Super
it was
Bowl with the
me.
Patriots without Brady. There's no question he wanted to do that. But he can still say it if he goes to another team. It's just, I think it won't be as special to him, but to the NFL fan that isn't like in Belichick's position, you're right. You might look at it and go, oh, like, fuck the Patriots.
Yeah, exactly.
It was really just
This is what
the
it was.
player
Two
and the coach.
special guys.
It wasn't
yeah.
the organization. It was Easton.
Which I believe, honestly. If you twisted
course
my
it was.
arm, that's what. Yeah.
I mean, of course it was. But you can say that if you see that happen. He could do it. And I don't know what he would do in Atlanta with the quarterback situation, but they got Bijan, and they got some explosive weapons there. I just think, I mean, look, if he's willing to go to the West Coast,
Yeah.
that's a team he's got with the Chargers. You know, that's a, you know, you're in the division, though. You got to play, you know, you're playing Mahomes twice a year. If you go to Atlanta, it's a, you know, you can win that division with 9 wins.
Yeah.
I just think, I don't know if he looks at that roster and loves it. And then I feel like I'm missing a team. We mentioned Dallas. Like, what's another team that he could possibly, that Bill Belichick could possibly end up with? I mean, I don't think he would be going to the Giants, because the Giants haven't fired their coach, but maybe they do.
Yeah. Everything changed.
You know,
now.
teams could
Yeah.
look at it and go, hey, we have an average coach, but we could get the greatest of all time for the next 3 to 5 years.
You're dumb. They're dumb if they don't at least entertain that too.
Yeah, because he's also has the affiliation with the Giants organization.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just trying to sit here and think of other teams that you know, Seattle now with Pete Carroll gone.
There's no more like obvious ones, but I do think it just could shake them up. Like there's going to be more people who think about it.
I mentioned Washington. That's the other one I was talking about. But again, their roster is, if they had kept Chase Young, I'd say imagine Belichick goes to Washington, got a great defense, has a number 2 overall pick, ends up taking whoever the Patriots are going to take,
Yeah.
and rebuilds that. I mean, that's a historic organization. There's history there. Belichick is a historian of the game.
It just stinks. The whole thing stinks.
Yeah, it sucks. I because of the reports, and this is the way it's gone with these reports, where there's smoke, there's fire. Maybe it is Atlanta. By the time you watch this, it might be.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, by the time you watch this, it might be Seattle. So, you know what I mean? Like, who really knows? But those are my thoughts. A sad day, sad time for the Patriots fans. I honestly didn't think they were going to do it.
I didn't either.
I didn't think they were going to do it. But they did it. Belichick's gone. I think we'll be sitting here in a year wishing he was coach of the team, coach of a good team. And I don't even mean to use that as a knock on Mayo, but it's just the reality is it's the greatest coach of all time who still has something left in the tank. But that's it. Those are my thoughts. We had to come in here and how long did we just? We went
About an hour 10, something like that.
Yeah. So, I got nothing else to say on that front. I mean, we missing anything? Anything else? Any other moves?
Nah.
No?
That's the biggest thing. It pushes everything away, I think.
Yeah. Well, we'll get back in here soon because we got WWE stuff we got to talk about.
It's Royal Rumble.
The Rock is back. We won't do that now. We'll do that again soon. The Rock is back. And I just feel bad for Cody Rhodes, CM Punk.
He's disappeared.
They just think they're coming back to main event mania.
He'll be on the WrestleMania pre-show.
Because there was a
Keep it up.
They were saying that it was going to be The Rock in Australia for Elimination Chamber the month before Mania, but now the reports are that The Rock's not doing that. And of
knew
course
he
he's
wasn't.
not. You think he's coming back to do Elimination Chamber? I don't care if they did Elimination Chamber in the, in the
Dubai,
middle of the ocean. First time ever in the middle of the ocean, like on a ship. No, it doesn't matter. He's doing WrestleMania. If The Rock comes back, he's doing main event WrestleMania. And I don't know who needs to hear this, but the last match on the first night of WrestleMania is not the main event of WrestleMania.
Oh, definitely.
They're doing that thing with it. Like last year, they had the tag team.
Yeah. No, I completely agree.
And they're like, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens headline WrestleMania. Like, no, they didn't.
Sure.
There's only
that's the
one
halftime.
WrestleMania main event, and it's the last match of the whole WrestleMania, which is now on the second night. So, you want a main event Mania? You got to get on that last match on the last night. And unless they're going to do some triple threat, right now it's looking like Cody Rhodes and CM Punk in the main event of WrestleMania. We'll talk about that another time. Paul, great stuff. Nice job.
Thank you.
Subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, and we'll talk to you soon. See ya.